So, dynamics, okay. We're talking about, last time, we've talked about projectile motion, linear motion, rectilinear motion, circular motion will come out after this. So, let us just focus on this one, okay. A shot is fired at an angle of 45 degrees with the horizontal and a velocity of 300 foot per second. Calculate to the nearest value the range of the projectile. Okay? The range of the projectile. Let me discuss to you the formula of projectile motion. So for projectile motion, what is the range? The range is the maximum distance horizontally your projectile will reach. So ito yung kanyang formula. So range is R na malaki or the capital R, and that is equal to the velocity of launch squared multiplied to sine double angle. Okay, double angle divided by the gravity. And that is what? That is direct sub lang ang solving niyan. Okay? Let me just open my timer. Okay? Yeah. All we gotta do is draw them. Excuse me. Acid reflux na naman. Now. Yeah. So you are given 45 degrees with the horizontal and the velocity of 300 fps. So, lagay natin dito. If this is your horizontal, okay, hindi siya pantay. Okay. Okay. Tiyagaan na natin yung drawing ko. This is your launching. Okay. You launch it horizontally. And where will it land? Okay. Ano yung magiging range niya? Ibig sabihin, gaano kahaba? What will be its range? Okay. This is the range. The maximum distance your projectile will reach horizontally. And it is given by the formula VO or the launch velocity squared sine double angle divided by G. That is R. And anything that beyond or below R is called X. Ibig sabihin yung that is the distance. Okay? Distance is reached at a certain point. So, meron ka ditong launch velocity of the launch velocity there is 300 foot per second and then at an angle of 45 degrees. So, you calculate to the nearest value. So, dito, ang hinahanap niya is in yards. So, the range in yards. So, you should know the conversion factor for yard. So, you have 1 yard is equal to 1 foot. So, 3 feet rather. That is the conversion factor there. So, we substitute all the values. So, R is equal to VO, that is 300 foot per second. Feet per second squared. You multiply it with sine double angle. Sine 45 times 2, that is 90. Sine 90 divided by what is the gravitational constant in imperial units? That is 32.174 or 32.2 feet per second squared. Now, we have to calculate the range in terms of yards. So, we have to use the conversion factor. So, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. Yeah. We cancel all the same units, yung feet squared, feet, second squared, feet. And we may proceed with the calculation of the value. So, 300 squared. Okay. sine 90. 32.2 times 3. The answer will be 931.68 yards. R. For problem number 1 for the continuation. R is 931.68 yards. Very basic. Excuse me. Next one. A projectile, there's the illustration of that, leaves at a velocity of 50 meter per second at an angle of 30 degrees with the horizontal. Find the maximum height it could reach. So, for the maximum height, we do have a formula with that. So, we can solve it directly. But if you want to solve it using using the longer method, you may do so. But I prefer using this one. So, height is equal to, okay? Height is equal to, or the maximum height, max height, okay? Where your VOY is at maximum, and then yung VO mo, X, is at minimum. So, VO, max. Okay, VO. VO VO squared sine squared theta over 2G. Where did it come from? Look at your look at your free falling body. So projectile motion. For free falling body in motion. For a free falling body, okay, for free falling body, it came with this. So height maximum, at the maximum height of your free falling body, VO will always be 0. VO. So VO Y, the component of Y is squared over 2G. VOX, the horizontal speed, okay? The horizontal component speed is at minimum or 0. And then the vertical component of that velocity is at maximum. So dito nagmula yun. It came from here. Okay? So let us get back. Okay. Use this one. We have the velocity, we have the angle, so we can solve again. So this is 50 meters, so H maximum. That is the maximum height that it could reach, the projectile could reach. So VO, that is 50 meter per second. We square that and then square the value of sine 30 divided by 2 times G. G is 9.81 or 9.8066, but I prefer to use 9.81 meter per second squared. We cancel all the same units. And we cancel all the same units. Meter squared. So may matitira meter second squared. And we leave you with the value of 50 squared times sine 30. Square the value. Divided by 2 times 9.81. That is 31.86 meters above the ground. So that is for the second problem. The next one. A stone is thrown upward at an angle of 30 degrees from the horizontal. It lands 60 meters measured horizontally. So X is 60. And 2 meters below the surface, below measured vertically from its point of release. So 2 meters. That's why. Determine the initial velocity of the stone. You have to determine the initial velocity of the stone. Now, we can refer again to this formula. So, for projectile motion, or for a projectile that is released below or above any surface, it is given by this one. With this formula. Positive if it is released above the surface, or negative it is released below the surface. Okay? That is the one that we will use. Okay. We use that one. So again, going back, the stone is thrown upward at an angle of 30 degrees. Horizontal. It landed 60 meters measured from horizontal and 2 meters below. So it landed here below. So what will you do? Magnitude of this one, will it be negative or positive? So let us see. Positive if it is launched from here. Negative if it is launched above the surface. If it is again launched below the surface, it is positive. If it is launched above, or if it is launched above the surface and hitting the ground below it, it is negative. Okay? Recap natin. Again, if it is released below the surface it reached, it is positive. It is negative if it is launched above and fell down the surface. Okay? So, positive, negative, the formula is y equal to x tangent theta minus gx squared over 2 VO squared cosine squared theta. So, are we given an angle? So, 30 degrees. And then we are given the range x and then the height of displacement as 2 meters below. So, negative. So, let us substitute. Negative. 2 equal to x, that is 60. Tangent, what is the value? 30. Minus g, that is in meters. If it is in SI, that is 9.81. And then x is 60 squared over 2 VO squared. And then cosine 30 squared. We can simplify the value. So, I should transfer it here. So, 9.81 multiplied to 60 squared divided by 2 VO squared cosine 30 squared equal to 60 tangent 30 plus 2. So we can simplify this. Simplify the expression first. So 9.81 times 60 squared equal to, you cross multiply. So 60 tangent 30 plus 2. I'm doing algebra, ha? Multiply to 2 VO squared and then cosine 30 squared. Now, we can do this one. So, we divide both sides by 60 tangent 30 plus 2. So, 2 VO squared cosine 30 squared equal to 9.81 multiplied to 60 squared divided by 60 tangent 30 plus 2. We can simplify again. So, we factor out yung VO. VO squared equal to 9.81 times 60 squared over 60 tangent 30 plus 2 multiplied to 2 cosine 30 squared. So we can now get the value of VO. We have to get the square root of the value. So VO is equal to square root, isang pindutan na lang. So 9.81 squared. So times 60 squared by 60 tangent 30 plus 2 times 2 times cosine 30 squared. The answer will be 25.35 meter per second. Very basic. Okay? That is for problem number 2. Basic algebra lang. Okay? How about the next problem? So this is a problem of rotational motion. So let us go with rotational motion. For rotation, okay. For rotation, now for rotation, let's copy this one. For rotational kinematics, it is the same with linear motion, but you have to replace some of the variables there. Okay, for the displacement, which is S, you have to replace it with theta. For the velocity or the speed, you have to replace it with omega. And for the acceleration, you should replace it with the what? Alpha. And what are those? Theta will be the angular displacement. And omega will be the angular speed. And alpha will be the angular acceleration. Now, for linear and angular relations, I just have to multiply them, each of them with the radii or the radius of the rotation. Okay? Now, we have to solve this one. Not that calculator. So, I have to move it here. A wooden block having a weight of 50 newtons is placed at a distance of 1.5 meters from the center. So that is the radius of the rotation of a platform rotating at a speed of 2 radians per second. So 2 radians per second is the speed. Determine the minimum coefficient of friction of the block so that it will not slide. The radius of the circular platform is 1.5 meters. So first, you have to get the velocity. Okay? Velocity of the linear velocity, linear velocity of the block. So velocity is equal to R times omega. So your radius there is 1.5 meters. And then, the angular speed will be at 2 radians in every second. So, radian is, nan-unit na yan. Okay na yan. Pwede mo na multiply ka agad yan. So, this will become, in linear form, is 3 meter per second. Now, with physics, what keeps your block or what keeps the block from not sliding outward of the rotating plate? Okay? What keeps it from his place by not swinging out of the rotating disc? Ang tawag doon ay your centrifugal force. So what is centrifugal force? Let us get back. Okay? What is centrifugal force? Okay. Circular motion or centripetal force. It is the force that is, centripetal is the force that is center seeking. Ang centrifugal naman is center fleeing. Okay? So let me copy this one. And this one. And this one. Okay. Let us copy that. So you should have this one. Again, for circular motion, for centripetal, this is the force that is center seeking. Centrifugal is center fleeing. Ibig sabihin, papalayo sa center. Seeking, papalapit sa center. Okay? In order for you to get the centripetal force, that is equal to M times AN. AN is the angular acceleration. And that is given by this formula. So, Fn is equal to mass times velocity squared over R. How about centrifugal force? Centrifugal force is equal to M times velocity over time. Okay? For the total acceleration of the rotating body, you have to get the acceleration tangential and then acceleration that is normal. Okay? Ganun lang po yun. Now, ayan. Centripetal force and then, ano ba yan? Yung velocity dito is converted into linear. Okay? Linearly. So, let us solve the problem. Okay. Let us first find FC. Pag gumawa ka dyan ng free body diagram mo, okay, what are the forces that is counteracting each other? So, ang hinahanap dito, determine the minimum coefficient of friction. So, makukuha yung friction dyan. Diba? The coefficient of friction or the frictional force counteracting the slide of the body is equal to mu times N. What is N? It is the normal force. Normal force. And this one is the coefficient of friction. Now, ano ba yung mga kumakounteract dyan? Meron kang force dyan, meron kang centrifugal. What is the counteracting force for your centrifugal? Siyempre, yung frictional force mo nga. Wala naman outside force dyan eh. Okay? So, FC is equal to FF. Pag free body diagram, bakit? Tignan nyo. Ayan o. Yung FC mo, kinakounteract lang nito. Wala namang iba. Okay? But first, we have to find yung FC. Where your FC is given by this one. Centrifugal or centripetal. And this is equal to weight divided by gravity. Weight divided by gravity. Diba that is equal to mass? Weight divided by gravity. Multiply to linear velocity squared divided by the radius of rotation. Now, that is FC is equal to weight that is 50 newtons for the block normal divided by 9.81 meter per second squared. Okay? Times. Okay? Okay. Ayun, gravity yan. Meter per second. Okay? Extend natin to. And then, multiply with velocity. Velocity there is, what's the velocity? 3 meter per second squared divided by R, which is 1.5 meters. FC, dapat ang makakuha mo dyan is in newtons lang. We cancel all the same units. So, meter per second, yan, meter, second squared. FC now will become, what is the value of FC? 50 times 3 squared divided by 9.81 times 1.5. The answer there is 30.58 newtons. That is FC. We are ought to find the value of FF. So, FF is equal to FC. Equal to FC. That is 30.58. Bakit kanyo? Summation of forces, pakita ko sa inyo. Summation of forces at X equal to 0. Ano ba yung nagka-counteracting dyan? Itong dalawa lang, yung frictional and then centripetal. Ibig sabihin, F minus FC equal to 0. Dito lang natin makukuha. So, FF equal to sa mu normal. Yan. So, ang hinahanap natin is mu. So, mu, the frictional coefficient is equal to FC divided by N. And that is equal to 30.58 divided by 50. What will be the frictional coefficient for the system? Okay? Para hindi mag-slide yung kanyang block. Okay, that is 30.58 divided by 50. The answer is 0.612. Yan yung kanyang coefficient of friction. Para hindi siya tumilapon palabas. Okay? That is the answer for that problem. Next one.